folks, Rick Wedell here. I'm the Chief Investment Officer at RFG Advisory. Figured we would come out back to you today with a little bit of an update, let you know what's going on out there. S&P 500, as I speak, is right around 4,300 for a level. I frequently find that when we get into these bouts of market volatility, it is more useful to talk about where we are on an absolute level basis than it is to talk about percentage changes one direction or another, because with the market bouncing around, up 1% one day, down 2% the next, up 2% the next, you can kind of get lost on exactly where we are from an overall valuation standpoint. So about 4,300 in correction territory for the year. That means we're down a little over 10% on the S&P 500 since the beginning of the year. Would remind everybody that with the strong close to last year, we're kind of back to where we were in September, October of 2021. So giving a little bit back. Obviously, all eyes right now are on the Ukraine and the situation that is developing there. Russia basically moved some troops in to some disputed regions that they recognized as independent states, and the U.S. and the European countries are calling that the beginning of the invasion, or of an invasion. And the U.S. and Europe have decided to respond. Most of the Western world have decided to respond to these actions with sanctions. So currently, the sanctions are targeted at the Russian banking system, as well as an expansion of the Nord 2 pipeline, which is designed to expand gas exports from Russia into the rest of Europe. It's pretty clear that no one expects sort of an armed conflict to break out between Western powers and Russia over its invasion of the Ukraine. It's pretty clear that the way that Western countries will respond to this is through sanctions, which is a good thing. This is also where I like to give the disclaimer of I am not a bad person. Certainly, it is a tragedy what is unfolding in the Ukraine. Anytime we see war and conflict, that is a tragedy. From an economic standpoint, the war itself is not overly threatening. Ukraine is 0.1% of the global economy. They have about 40 million people there. And what we've seen, similar to conflicts that we've seen in Afghanistan or Iran or some of the other global players, it's just not large enough to really be felt. What is large enough to be felt is if the sanctions with Russia. So Russia is the 11th largest economy in the world. They're still small compared to the U.S. So about 5% of the overall U.S. economic output is represented by Russia, but they are important in certain key strategic markets, notably oil and gas. They are one of the world's largest oil producers. And if sanctions go to where people think they might be headed, then we could see some volatility, particularly in those export markets. If developed countries decide that they're not going to buy Russian oil, then that would send the price of oil higher unless OPEC decides to increase output in response. Russia's a member of OPEC. It gets very complicated. Long story short, this is once again what we've seen time and time again, where the unknown is scary. And so it panics markets a little bit when there's uncertainty. People feel the need to sort of move out. It's one of the reasons why we don't market time. You've heard me say that over and over and over again. It is likely that the situation will resolve itself without too much of a major impact across sort of the U.S. economy. Europe's economy is a little bit more questionable, but most economists still predict that Europe will continue to grow and get back to its sort of pre-pandemic growth trajectory by the second half of the year. So long story short, there's fear and uncertainty out there. Most of it is fear of the unknown as opposed to anything else. And, it's not something that we find to be any reason to move or adjust your portfolio one direction or another. These types of market correction cycles, this type of global tension, geopolitical tension happens. Market normally figures it out as the world figures it out and then resolves on its path forward. So with that, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to either myself or to your advisor. I hope you're having a great day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you for tuning in. And if you're enjoying this content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified when we post more.